Okay, hi Riley.
Hi.
I'm going to ask you a favor just to introduce yourself.
So I'm Riley Hul. I'm an arborist. I've been working in the industry for about 2.5 years now. I'll be getting my IC certification soon. But my background is mostly in tree identification, understanding what's safe, what isn't, tree biology, understanding how a tree is moving, where it's going to grow, what it's going to do on a property, assessing whether or not it needs to be removed, taken care of, injected, or otherwise.
Okay, so I'm going to ask with your business, when you first come on somebody's property, can you tell me, say, 3 things that you start with by looking at what's there?
Well, I mean, that has to do with a lot of different factors depending on where the tree is put, but mostly the first thing that you look at are trees that are close to the house. Those are not only most in, I guess, threat of the main house itself, but any type of growth pattern that threatens the house in any way, that's usually the first thing that you look at. Most of the jobs that I've done in residential areas, specifically I would say like in the northern Wisconsin area, we have a lot of pines. And because of that, pines break under pressure, and with how much snow we get, you have to kind of look at whether or not those branches are going to break or snap under that pressure.
Okay.
And slam into a house. That could be a huge insurance issue.
What would be the second thing you look for?
Disease, rot,
Disease.
Inconsistent growth patterns that could open up for disease or rot. Usually that's just because of water, splitting trunks, trees with multiple stems, or just injuries. Someone cutting improperly, pruning a tree improperly, or making it grow in such a way where the tree grows inconsistently, grows in the wrong direction, and that direction is straight towards the house. That usually causes a lot of issues with weight and stability.
Okay, and maybe what is the third thing you're looking for?
The third thing I would say is probably aesthetics. Depending on how a tree looks, it could either make a house look amazing or it could make a house look terrible. It really depends on both the species, the ground that the tree is on, the placement and positioning of the tree. There's a lot of ANSI certified rules that you have to follow when it comes to planting a tree. You can't just plant a tree usually, especially if it's nearby septic or anything. The roots will cause a lot of damage to concrete, driveways, etc. And usually determining what's going to happen to a tree in the next 5 or 10 years just based on how it looks could heavily determine costs for the future. So that's probably the biggest third one.
And if you were to recommend when someone is looking at a home and their focus is really about looking at the house, what would you tell them to do?
I would say look at the trees first. Honestly,
Yeah.
Because depending on what property you get. Now, the home could be a forever home. If you're totally okay with that, that's very different. That's up to you. But there could be thousands of dollars of damage on a property if you don't know what you're looking for when you get there. You could probably think to yourself like, oh, I'll get rid of those trees soon. And then you go and try and shop around and realize you don't have the money because tree work is very expensive. It's
Absolutely.
one of the most dangerous jobs in the country to have.
What happens if you see property, but you don't see the tree? What do you see? What are you looking for to be the tell? What's the tell? When you know there was a tree, but there isn't a tree.
Oh, either improper taking care of the stump. So a lot of times you'll have swells underground, or you'll have inconsistent like
Lumps
all over the yard. Things aren't flat, they haven't been taken care of before. A lot of times people will not actually take care of the roots underneath the stump. They'll just take care of the stump like straight to ground level, but what happens is all that rots and sprouts new growth and everything starts popping up from the ground, and it causes some goofy stuff. A lot of people like to save a little bit of money and just cut it at the ground and then let it rot itself, but that only works every once in a while, especially if you're on a yard that's only like trimmed and nothing happens to it. You're not going to have a lot of rot. So you might actually have a lot of wood that's under the ground that's still just fetid and sitting there and creating moss and spores and stuff.
So we're good. We got some great answers here. I swear to God, I wish I could have had you in recordings many, many years ago. I would ask you one more question. That is, when someone is picking who they're going to work with, to take these things down, the trees, the bushes, whatever, what would be really good questions they should be asking?
They should be asking specific questions that will tell you whether or not certain companies can be trusted is if they actually know what they're doing. Any guy can grab a chainsaw, grab a harness, grab a rope, and throw himself up into a tree and just cut it down. But not everyone can give you the best advice for how to take care of the trees, because trees are they're sturdy, but they have some problems. And there's a lot of scientific and research stuff that you have to know before taking care of them properly. And a lot of times there's people out there that will just say, yeah, I'll just cut it down for you, even though it's a tree that's perfectly healthy and it could live for another 30 years and make your house look beautiful.
So basically they're looking for a way to charge you. They're saying, I could take this tree down, this is how much it's gonna cost, and because you don't know enough to ask the right questions,
Yep.
you could be losing good trees.
I would research whatever tree it is that you have on your property. I'd research whatever it is that you can about the tree first, and then go to a company and ask questions about that. And if they answer you, act as if they know exactly what they're talking about, and if they know what you're saying, like the difference between conifers and deciduous. That's a very direct question where if someone doesn't know basic definitions for tree work that we work in all the time, they're probably not a person that you want to work with.
And if I was a homeowner and I'm not familiar with knowing a lot about my trees, would you have a suggestion as to how often should I have somebody come and take a look?
It depends on if the company charges for giving quotes or coming out to take a look. Sometimes companies charge for consistent annual checkups, but usually trees don't grow like that. Either annually or every 2 years.
Okay.
Would be the best suggestion. Sometimes a problem can happen very quickly within a year or within a bad storm, and maybe something needs to get checked up on earlier than that, annual. But if you don't have any significant changes to your property and you care a lot about your property, annually. If you don't have anything really close to the house, I wouldn't say annually. Maybe every 2 years is fine. It's just because of that risk factor of things changing very quickly, especially in the north where we have pretty on and off days where we could have no wind and then we could have a lot of wind the next day, and it just causes a lot of problems. And it saves you on having to make claims on insurance or having a lot of problems with that. It is an expensive thing, but it's better to spend $1,200 on getting a tree taken down or getting it trimmed than having a hole in your house that's going to cost $30,000 to fill.
Right, exactly. And one last thought is, what is the most common question that you get when you're talking with people? What do they ask you?
How much it's going to cost?
And there really isn't a standard, correct?
No. Well, there's a lot of ANSI standards that you can follow. The ISA is a great resource for information when it comes to learning what's best practice in the business.
What is ISA?
That's basically the international standard for arboriculture work. They certify people through being master arborists. They certify people through just being generally arborists in general. Most locations will actually give you a pay bump if you have an ISA certification. What they require generally to get an ISA certification is either 2 years in some type of horticulture, arboriculture industry, climbing, electrical work, either, or 3 years just working in the industry alone. And on top of that, you have to spend a little bit of money to get it as well.
Okay.
But on top of getting that certification, you have personalized locations and forums that you can go to, plenty of people to talk to, increased education in terms of what's going on in the industry, understanding how to run your business, that type of stuff. It's a nationally recognized organization that is global.
Would you recommend getting more than one estimate?
Yes, unless you have somebody who, so if you've got someone that you've been working with for years and nothing has ever disappointed you about that company, keep going with the same guy. Don't get multiple estimates after that. A lot of times, people in our business, when we find clients that are loyal, we will work our butts off to make sure that they're taken care of every single time, regardless of what it takes for us to get that done. Because loyalty is valued above anything in the business.
And wouldn't you say too that you would say to somebody, trust your gut? If you don't think somebody's giving you the right scoop, Trust your gut.
Trust your gut. Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually the guys in this business that you can trust the most are very charismatic. They're confident in what they're doing. They're not gonna kind of beat around the bush. They're gonna tell you exactly how much something is gonna cost. They're not gonna try and underbid too heavily. They're gonna do their work and they're gonna do it well and they're gonna be confident with it. They're not gonna be questioning a bunch of stuff and looking like they're unprofessional.
Well, I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate your candid responses because this was kind of a quick interview, but for anybody of my VIP clients and people that know me, they know that I like to give people the straight scoop. And sometimes that straight scoop is not coming directly from me. It's from people who I trust.
Yeah, of course.
So I thank you, and I hope everybody enjoyed this. Hope you got some good answers to questions. And if you have more interest, please reach back to me. I'm sure I can find Riley in a heartbeat, and we can get you more answers. Thank you.